Hello friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we have a very fun video to share with you. I'm telling you, it's like Christmas in September around here. If you have been with Creekside for any length of time, you know that we have a fantastic working relationship with Proven Winners and all the nurseries that support Proven Winners. One of those fantastic nurseries that we do love and adore is Spring Meadow Nursery, and they are in Michigan. They are the supplier, grower, just developer of all the fantastic Proven Winner shrubs. And so a couple of weeks ago, they contacted me and they said, hey, we have some of these shrubs that are of a larger size. We kind of going into winter, we need to kind of liquidate some things. Would you be interested in some of these shrubs? Hello, yes, I would. So they were kind enough to let me kind of shop the list for shrubs that some of these we already grow, like they're already in our inventory. So we grabbed some more of those. And then there are quite a few shrubs that I have been on the fence about for a couple of years. I would love to grow them, but they're just a little bit on the borderline. I didn't know if they would thrive here in North Carolina with our heat and humidity. So they gave us gorgeous shrubs. They just came the other day. We unboxed them. So I want to share them with you. Now, what are we going to do with all these great shrubs? Are they for sale? No, they are not. They are going to go into our display gardens at the nursery so that you can, along with us, see how they perform here in North Carolina. Remember, we are a Zone 7B. We are just west of Charlotte. We are in the Piedmont. We deal with heat and humidity in the summer. Our nights just do not get cool. It's very, very hot and sticky even in the nighttime in our summertime. And that is really hard on a lot of plants. Therefore, I am really excited to try out some of these babies in the garden. So we're just going to go through, everybody has tags, so I will show you those tags. If you have more questions about that specific plant, go to provenwinners.com, type in that name, and it will give you everything you've ever wanted to know with lots of beautiful pictures there. So let's start. One of these that we already grow, and I love this plant, is the Pugster Pinker. The Pugster Pinker is, of course, part of that line of the butterfly bushes. This is a dwarf butterfly bush. Pinker is, I think, just really the newest variety, the newest color in this series. And it truly is a pinker color. There is a Pugster pink, but this is a more intense, I wouldn't say a hot pink, just a more intense pink. The Pugsters are great because they only get to be about 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. Here in the South, we tend to be on the higher end of the plant sizes. A lot of these mature sizes are based on the Michigan growing conditions, but here in the South we grow them, of course, a little bit bigger because our season is so long. Now these are going to be hardy in zones 5 to 9. We have several special projects that we are going to be doing this fall, winter. Already have a place for these pinkers going in there. Jerry and I visited Spring Meadow back in the summer for one of their events. And at Spring Meadow, because we did a video, right? We've done multiple videos there. They have beautiful display gardens. This is where I first saw Steady Eddie. Steady Eddie is a viburnum, and you can see it is a lace cap viburnum. Viburnums can either be, they're like hydrangeas. They can either be a lace cap or they can be a mop head. Steady Eddie is a lace cap. You will see lace caps more prominent in the native varieties of viburnums, but this is a really fun viburnum because, of course, it has those really heavily kind of veined, corrugated leaves on them, nice and tough as far as the texture to them. They will be deciduous though, so your viburnums are deciduous. This is hardy in zones 5 to 8, sun to part shade. It will bloom in the spring, and then it will rebloom in the summer. So Steady Eddie is really fun. It will be, let me see my size, 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. Really excited to try this one out in the landscape, because if it does what it did in Michigan, this will be a fantastic new addition for our gardens here in North Carolina. And of course, the viburnums will have gorgeous fall color. So your green leaves, as the cooler temperatures come, they will turn beautiful shades that just scream fall. So we've got a good number of those. At the Trial Gardens, we already have one of these Vino Verde Weigelia. And this is one of my really favorite plants that they sent us way back in the spring. So Vino Verde is a really unique Weigela in the fact that it has really different foliage on it. Of course, it will do really pretty kind of that raspberry colored bloom in the spring, but through the rest of the season, you've got this really nice variegated foliage. Darker on the outside, kind of almost a black, and then a green on the inside. Even at our nursery in the Trial Gardens, this one has done really, really well. It'll be fun to see how it really transitions through this winter into spring, because even for us, it's not that our summers get too hot, it's maybe that our winters don't get cold enough, because some plants need vernalization. Vernalization means that they need to have a period of cold temperatures so that they can recharge and form their blooms and really then go through and have great performance through the rest of the season. This is one of those plants that needs that vernalization. But Vino Verde will be hardy in zones 5 to 8, 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. It is a full sun plant, and ours at the nursery, even though we are a 7B, I do have it in full sun, not on irrigation, and it has done really well. But it just gives you all that great interest with your spring bloomers and then your summer into fall with the great foliage on it. So I'm excited to add, because they sent us 3, so we have 3 more to add to the garden. So this will be another great one just to add. Now, over here, we have got 2 evergreens that I'm very excited about, because these are those ones that I have been eyeballing for a long time, but I was kind of a little too timid to commit to a whole order of them. I'm going to grab both of them and bring them out so that way Jerry doesn't have to do acrobatics with the camera. All right. The first one is a pinpoint blue and gold. This is a false cypress. This is a tree. So you can see it has beautiful blue-green foliage to it. And this will be a gorgeous specimen in your garden. You could do, if you needed a privacy hedge, you could, of course, plant multiples of these as a hedge, or it could just be a focal point, because the pinpoint blue and gold is deer resistant, first of all, so that is awesome. Trying to get my tag open here. It is going to be sun to part shade, which works really well for us because it is only hardy in, it is hardy in zones 5 to 7. So again, we are a 7B. So when it says a zone 7, that makes me a little iffy, especially when I'm committed to a tree. Super excited to try this, because I will make sure that this plant, wherever we put it, I'll have to be kind of particular. I want it to get morning sun. I want it to get 4 to 6 hours of good morning sun so that it can get that gorgeous color, but it probably is going to need a break from the afternoon so that it doesn't burn. This will be 15 to 20 feet tall, but only 4 to 5 feet wide. Beautiful. I mean, just when it came out of the box, I loved it. It is not pokey, so you can easily, run your hands over it. Sometimes people are worried about that with kids or whatever. It is not, the least bit harmful or hurting your hands at all. Really fun. With your evergreens, they like to have moist, well-draining soil, but they do not handle drying out at all. So this is not one that you want to let go completely dry, because once the evergreens start to get brown to them, it's hard to bring them back. So just keep that in mind wherever you place it. And then look at this cute little thing right here. How sweet is this? This is Soft Serve. It is another false cypress, but it's going to have a little bit of a different shape and mature size to it. It will be more conical, right? So where your blue and gold is more that upright columnar, this is going to be conical. Yes. So it's going to be a cute little pyramid that really does not require any kind of pruning whatsoever. It will be in those same zones of that 5 to 7 part to sun to part shade. It is going to be 6 to 10 feet tall, 5 to 6 feet wide. And again, we just need to have lots of nice moisture on it, well draining soil. Beautiful plant though. It is a very soft texture to it. It's a lot fluffier than say the blue and gold pinpoint. So these two are going to be really fun. We got 2 of each of them. So actually I got 2 of these and 3 of the blue and golds. We will be sure to have these at the nursery in the display gardens so that when you come to visit us, you can actually like go up and like touch them and see them up close and see how they are doing. Now, some more that I was super excited to get because they're a little questionable for us are, I got some, well, let's see, there's 3 different varieties here that I am going to grab and try to bring. I can only bring 2 at a time. We got elderberries and mock oranges. So let's do the mock orange first. Mock orange, of course, is the common name for it. They are really known for those beautiful, delicious, fragrant flowers in the spring. It is just a beautiful plant to add to your garden. But this one is it's looking a little rough right now because it is the end of the season and it has come from Michigan. And they've trimmed it, right, because these did come in really well packaged boxes. Nobody was damaged. We had maybe 1 or 2 little limbs that got, you know, broken off on all the plants that came to us, but extremely well packaged. But this mock orange, I'm just going to read it to you, combines old-fashioned beauty, modern-day performance. Big white flowers along nice, strong, dark green foliage. This is going to be sun to part shade, 4 to 7. So if you're in those cooler climates, this would be an excellent choice for you. That's why we're testing it out here in Zone 7B, 4 feet tall and wide. It does bloom on old growth, so if you you don't want to prune it, you know, past when it's the season. So since they had to prune it to send it to us, if it doesn't flower this spring, then that's okay because they had to prune it to send it to me. That's where I like to give my shrubs a couple of years to know if they really perform really well for us. But we have that Illuminati arch. So we have those. Then elderberries. We have gotten so many people asking about the elderberries. We have both the black lace and the lemony lace. Both of these elderberries are deer resistant. They are going to be really fun in that they are bringing a whole different textures and colors to our garden. So black lace, when it's in that UV light rays, will just be an absolutely black foliage to it. You can see it has a whole different kind of a texture to it, has a really kind of an open, kind of an arch habit. It is sun to part shade, zones 4 to 7. It can be a good little size, right? 6 to 10 feet tall and wide. It does bloom in the early summer. And if you don't prune it after it blooms, it will set berries. Now, the berries are not recommended for human consumption, but leave them on your plants because the wildlife, the birds, love to eat it. So really nice, fun. It kind of reminds you a little bit of a Japanese maple with that really lacy leaf to it. Not only do we have black lace, we also have lemony lace. So lemony lace is going to be kind of the counterpart to black lace. Let me show you the tag here. But of course it has that beautiful chartreuse lime green color to it. And it does have a different texture leaf to it than the black lace. Really, really just heavily serrated kind of look to it. And when you have it, or when it's growing, it will have this beautiful reminiscent. If you here in the South, we don't have a lot of elderberries, right? So I'm trying to explain this to my Southern folks who don't really, maybe are not as familiar with the elderberries, but it will have that look a little bit of like a Japanese maple. So when you're used to like a weeping Japanese maple, that will be the same kind of look that this plant will have. Just like the black lace, it will bloom in the spring, then it will produce your berries off of those flowers, so you don't want to prune it, and then not for human consumption, but the birds and the wildlife love it. So really pretty. I already have a spot that I'm going to be putting 2 of these. We have 3 of them. 2 of them are going to go in a special place, and then 1 we will have, of course, at the nursery so that you can come up and see it up close. So those are really pretty, of course. And then smoke bushes. Smoke bushes are not going to be really marginal for us because they are to zone, I believe they are 5 to 8. And again, they come in 2 really fun colors. So we've got Winecraft Black and we have Winecraft Gold. So you can see those 2 colors together. Now, you'll notice on both of these, you'll see a little bit of a color variation on the leaves. That is the hard water stains from the nursery because they had to do probably some overhead watering. It's not powdery mildew. They are perfectly fine. It is just like what other gardeners deal with that have hard water, that have overhead sprinklers. It sometimes can stain the leaves by the end of the season. So no worries on that because this is deciduous, but it is called a smoke bush because in the spring into summer, their blooms are those really fluffy, kind of that pinkish hue bloom to it on the Winecraft Black. So it looks like there is smoke rising from the plant. Once those blooms are done, you have these beautiful, really fat leaves that have that black color to them. So this is going to be a really fun, different texture and look to the garden. It is considered a full sun plant, hardy in zones 4 to 8. We'll get 4 to 6 feet tall and wide. So the purple foliage darkens, turns almost black, and then in the fall it will turn a brilliant orange. It is deer resistant, so you've got lots and lots of interest in these smoke bushes. So then the Winecraft Gold will have its beautiful plumes that are a little bit of a different color, as you can see, I think on the tag, if Jerry showed that one to you. Yeah, so he's going to show it to you now. Again, if you want to see more pictures of it, feel free to visit provenwinners.com. They will have lots of pictures there for you to look at. But a really beautiful shade. This is sun to part shade, zones 5 to 8. So a little bit of a different kind of growing zones for this one. 4 to 6 feet tall, 4 feet wide. And it will have the flowers start green and then they will change to pink, and then your leaves emerge a glowing gold, aging to a bright chartreuse. I tell you, the descriptions on these plants are just fantastic. So we will be adding these, of course, so where you all can see them. Now, this is a really fun one. This is a dogwood, and I have got soil all over my hands. Look at this gorgeous plant. This is Golden Shadows, and Golden Shadows is a pagoda type dogwood. So it's not going to do those typical dogwood blooms that we think of maybe here in the South. It will be still a beautiful white bloom on it. But look at that. They're really kind of that chartreuse on the outside, and then they say like a dark green thumbprint on the inside. So you've got different patterns on the leaves, really nice. And this has a nice, strong horizontal habit to it. Here in the South, we think of our dogwoods as, right, they have that great canopy, right? So it's a single trunk, and then you've got the canopy over it. Well, this is going to be very different because the limbs, as the tree grows, they go shoot straight out horizontally. So you're going to have much more of an open air look to this plant. And it does the absolute best in filtered sun. So you can have a little bit of morning sun, but throughout the day, it needs to have that filtered sun, not a lot of the hot afternoon sun whatsoever. But it is going to be, definitely it's considered a part shade. Zones 3 to 8 is going to only be 10 to 12 feet tall and wide. And I say only because this is a dogwood tree. And you know that dogwoods can get a really good size to them. But 10 to 12 tall and wide. Cannot wait to see how this develops. Really fun, beautiful. I think I know where it's going to go. I'm thinking, if you remember where Franny's hydrangea is over there near the pond, I'm thinking it's going to go in that direction over there. But what we will do until we know exactly where these plants are going to go, we're probably going to go ahead and move them up to a bigger size container. That way there's not the pressure to get them, you know, in the ground immediately. So that's a tip for you. If you buy, you know, shrubs or trees and you find the plant that you've been looking for, but you're not ready to put it in the ground, move it up to a bigger container. That way your roots are still growing. You're not having to water as much because you got fresh soil in there. And that way it buys you some time to let the plant still grow and develop, but just makes it a little bit easier on you and the plant. So that is what we will be doing with certain things that we don't know where they're going to go right away. Now, I do know where these are little lime punches. Now, we have little lime punches. We're growing them. I have them in my garden, and they are beautiful hydrangeas. This is part of that new series from, let's see, I was picking this one up because it's the pretty one, but the tags are over here. So let's see if we can, we'll do this way. There we go. Little lime punches, that new to the series of the little lime series. Same shape and size of like the punch is the same size as the little lime, that 3 to 5 feet. Really like this hydrangea because it has a really tight habit on it. Like, look at those stems. Those are really strong, sturdy stems. And that's the thing that we noticed in our garden with the 2 punches that we have. Really strong and sturdy, massive gorgeous blooms on them, right? That started that really creamy white and aged to a lime green. Gorgeous color, gorgeous structure. So we really like these. Now, the punches in our cooler climates are supposed to turn a really vibrant red, deep pink. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen here in the South because of our heat and our humidity. Now, we had an exceptionally hot, humid summer here, so mine were starting to show some pink, like they were getting ready to turn, and then the heat really hit, and then they just kind of went brown. So if you have panicle hydrangeas, and on the tag it has like this beautiful reds and pinks, and yours don't do that, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. It's just our climate that we are in, and unfortunately, we don't get a lot of that beautiful red color. But what you can do is prune it back, you know, in midsummer, and then they will reflush with beautiful fresh new foliage this time of year. So the punches are definitely going. They have a, we know where they're going. We have a special thing for them. As we have more of the Chiffon Hibiscus. So we have magenta chiffon, and then we have pink chiffon. So let me show you the 2 tags. These are not new plants to us. We have grown them. We have them in our yards, gardens. Let's flip that around. Of course, the tags did not cooperate whatsoever. They're flipping on me. But the roses of Sharon are really nice because they bring you vertical interest to your garden. And so the pink is that beautiful baby doll pink, and then the magenta is just that vibrant color. It is a double bloom. They bloom their heads off. These chiffon series are gorgeous. They're going to get tall though. They're tall and skinny. Full sun zones at 5 to 9. So they can get like, you know, 8 to 12 feet tall and 4 to 6 wide. We've got I'm teasing you with all these little special projects, but we have definite places for these to go. And I think what I'm going to do is plant them beside each other. So you've got that color difference with them there as well. We have another weigela. This is Wine and Spirits. Wine and Spirits does a beautiful white bloom on it with that really dark foliage. So if you have in the northern climates and you cannot do like azaleas, the weigelias would be the great option for you. They are deciduous, but they give this Wine and Spirits dark foliage with a beautiful white bloom on it in the spring. Now, if you are in the South, you know something about azaleas. So Proven Winners has been working really hard over the last multiple years coming up with some great azalea options. Some of our absolutely favorite ones are the Perfecto Mundo series. So
Sorry, good
He was holding it. We'll cut that out. I don't know if they want that. One of our absolute favorite series from Proven Winners is the Perfecto Mundo series. This Perfecto Mundo really performs really well here in North Carolina, and it comes in just a whole host of colors. This is the Epic Coral. Look at that. Just beautiful, vibrant blooms on it. The Perfecto Mundo series is going to be a little bit smaller, so they're not going to be these giant azaleas that maybe you're used to, you know, the old-timey ones. They're going to be a little bit smaller. This is 3 to 4 feet tall, 3 to 5 wide. They are a reblooming azalea, and they will do it in spring, summer, and fall. But you can see, like right here, just coming down the line, these are Epic Pink and Epic Coral. So those Perfecto Mundos just give you beautiful, beautiful colors. If you can not prune them, that is what is best, because they bloom on new and old growth. So if you can keep them in a spot where they can just grow and develop on their own. So you really want to pay attention to your mature size. We have the Perfecto Orange, and then we have Jerry and I were talking when we were unboxing. This is not a criticism, this is just a fact. So it is called Perfecto Mundo Orange. It's a little bit more on the red side. It is not Clemson orange. It is more in a little bit of a reddish color. But nonetheless, that does not take away from the beauty of this plant. Really nice pops against the blooms, against the dark green foliage. Like this one a lot. And then we also have brand new, I think this is going to be wildly popular. This is Perfecto Mundo Pink Carpet. So first of all, it is a double bloom, really soft baby doll pink, but as its name suggests, it is going to be very low growing. It is going to be perfect for the front of your bed. You could even put it in a container if you wanted to, but the pink carpet will only get to be 1 to 2 feet tall, but almost 3 feet wide. Again, this will be hardy in like zones at 6B to 9, so that is definitely, the azaleas are for the warmer climates. So we've got 3 of these. These will be really fun to put in the garden and see, you know, what their growth habit does and how it just performs. I know that they will perform really well here. I just can't wait to see how they look when they start to grow. So there are just tons of plants here that we have. We are so grateful for Spring Meadow sending us these beautiful shrubs to incorporate into our gardens. I'm going to start that starting tomorrow. So I am not going to let any grass grow under my feet on getting some of these into the gardens. Like I said, some of them we know exactly where they're going to go, but that project has to be developed a little bit more before we can add them in. Great thing about being here in the South is that basically we have tons of growing time. Like, we can plant and install landscapes all the way through December into January. Sometimes we take a little bit of a break late January into February because that is our coldest time of the year. But the great thing in North Carolina again is our ground never freezes. So we could plant them, especially if they're really like cold hardy plants, get them in the ground. So you got plenty of time to grow things, get them in the ground, get them in the landscape. Obviously, I will keep you updated on all of these, because those ones that I was telling you about that are kind of on the border for us, truly, if they succeed and do great, we will absolutely add these to our inventory. If some of them struggle and we try in different locations and different situations, there are just some plants that you just can't grow in your zone. And unfortunately, that is just the way of life. But it's our job to figure out what grows, blooms, and thrives here in our zone so that we can share that with you. Again, thank you, Spring Meadow, and all the great team there for sending us these beautiful shrubs. We appreciate you. We love our partnership that we have together. And yeah, we will see you guys soon. As always, happy gardening. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye, friends.